In 1923, Season 2, Episode 6, various characters eventually faced off against one another in a spectacular and brutal fashion after delaying a number of conflicts over the majority of the season. For instance, Jack Dutton met his untimely demise, whereas Father Renault and Tiana Rainwater ultimately made amends. Everyone is still waiting impatiently for Spencer's return, and Alexandra experienced yet another tragedy on the journey to Montana. The events leading up to the end of 1923 Season 2 were quite intense. This week, 1923 Season 2 Episode 5's cliffhanger finale was swiftly fixed. The preceding episode featured a shootout between Marshall Kent and Pete Plenty Clouds, but as the bullets began to fly, 1923 cut to black. As expected, Pete Plenty Clouds passed away in 1923 Season 2, Episode 6 at the hands of Marshall Kent. Pete was a crow man, Kent informed Father Renault, and he killed him because he ran. Eventually, Michael Spears' character runs his horse, and Tiana Rainwater located Pete's body. But what transpired after the shootout was the most unexpected aspect of it. Since Kent ran over a Comanche child with his horse, he and Father Renault had been drifting apart, and their falling out ultimately reached a breaking point. Kent yelled at the priest after Renault warned him he was on the pathway to perdition, and Renault then shot Kent dead. Given his perverted moral compass and religious beliefs, Renault probably believed that killing Marshall Kent was justified in order to purge the planet of a racist killer. He even instructed Kent to scream with the devil upon his execution. All season long, Lindy has been being trained in the methods of sexual sadism by Donald Whitfield, and 1923 Season 2 finally clarified the purpose of the training. In keeping with Whitfield's contentious plot, Lindy also started assaulting Mabel, a new sex worker. But this time, Whitfield told Banner Creighton that he was teaching Lindy how to sex politicians and start relationships with them. Christie was tortured to death as a result of Whitfield's constant attempts to achieve his personal business objective. Whitfield's goals appear to be far more ambitious than simply acquiring the Yellowstone Ranch and converting it into a ski resort. The Yellowstone is only the beginning of Whitfield's long-term plan, which is probably why he is training Lindy and wants to control the entire state of Montana. Right now, Spencer Dutton is essentially the only thing preventing Whitfield from reaching that objective. Later in 1923 Season 2, Episode 6, there was another significant and quite unexpected death. Jack Dutton, a stubborn young man, refused to listen to Jacob, Harrison Ford, who had instructed him to remain at the lodge and watch over the women. He made the decision to go alone to the train station in order to accompany Jacob and assist in defending Spencer, but he encountered Clyde and Alec en route. Clyde shot Jack dead and concealed his body after they had successfully removed him from the woods. He was only getting a head start in killing Duttons, as Clyde said. Regarding Jack's tragic death in 1923, there are a few key points to keep in mind. Jack trusted Clyde enough to holster his revolver once he was hired as an officer of the Livestock Association. However, Jack was unaware that Clyde had been employed by Banner Creighton and Donald Whitfield since the first season of 1923. In reality, it was he who informed the police about Alice Davis and Zane and had them jailed. Furthermore, Jack has always been a stubborn and impetuous individual, and these flaws ultimately caught up with him. Though Father Renault killed Marshall Kent, he wasn't done hunting down Tiana and Runs his horse. After they found Pete and Kent's bodies, Runs his horse thought that he and Tiana were safe from danger and finally decided to light a fire in the night. Unfortunately, that decision led Renault right to them, and he ambushed them in their sleep, shooting Runs his horse dead. With her father dead, Renault had all the time in the world to force Tiana to repent for her sins and seek salvation before shooting her too. The show's ending is also most directly impacted by the final significant deaths in 1923 Season 2, Episode 6. Paul, Augustus Prue, and Hillary, Janet Montgomery, the British couple who rescued Alexandra from detention on the train, were transporting her from Wisconsin to Montana. But somewhere between Wyoming and Montana, the automobile ran out of gas while they were traveling, and Paul and Hillary both died from freezing to death. Because alcohol decreases the body's core temperature, Alexandra only lived because she had an extra blanket and because she hadn't been drinking like Paul and Hillary had. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe.